Hello, hello, welcome. This is our webinar where we are going to demystify one of my successful and over, I don't know, celebrated fashion editorial called Parody of Fashion. So in this webinar, I'm going to take you step by step how it was created, behind the scenes, not so much about the technical, that is up to you to ask me these questions. Hi, Kingsley. Great. Hello, Kingsley. Good afternoon. So nice to see you here. You can you can communicate by in the chat, Kingsley. So we are here, Maria and myself are here, and we are so happy to share the making of one of my editorials called Parody of Fashion. This is really up your alley, actually. So today, what we're going to do is we're demystifying, as I said, the making of Parody of Fashion. We're going to talk about where the concept came from. The mood board was based on fashion and our creative research. Then we're going to tackle execution, and then we're going to see our submission, and then the final printed version and where it landed. Okay. So let's go into it. So first, let me show you, let me give you an idea of how the thing looked like, okay? This was the video we created from behind the scenes. Based on the shoot. As I was shooting and the model was posing for me, my first assistant was recording the video. Okay, so let me take you very quickly through the images of what we created, and we will start. Okay, so the story is, 2000, this shoot was done 2017. I've had a studio for over 30 years. Like basically at that point, I had it for, about 30 years. And I was in the same space which I had designed, and I made it my home. And it was really a beautiful space for about 19 years. It was a landmark, and it was my castle. It was my dreamland. I had places for props. I had my own editing area. I had my station. There was beautiful client area, entertainment, makeup and hair, big styling, all full of mirrors. It was like 10 feet wall, mirrored wall with transparent change rooms. It was designed by an architect and myself, and I loved it. People rented it, but it was like my castle. 2017, I got news that I had to pay 3 times more, or I had to move, even though I still had a lease. The lease was yearly, they had made it yearly, and they had sold the building, and there was a new ownership, and it's all logistics. So I hired a lawyer, and we were fighting it. Of course, I didn't win. But in the meantime, we were given a paper that we had to move. So it was very stressful. it just happened that my best friend was working with us at that period. And he's a very creative, and he is an interior designer. When we started taking things down, he noticed that there were so many props and so many stupid things, which he called moringos. And then he goes, let's play. Let's utilize this space before we leave it. Let's see what the lawyers are going to do. So it's still ours. Let's just work it. And in the meantime, as we're taking down so funny stuff, he says he had just gotten glasses from a dollar store. And I looked at him and I go, wow, these are cool. So he go, oh, why don't we do a dollar store story? Fantastic. This was in April 2017, and the shows were just finishing. The spring 2017 shows were just finishing in Paris. So I was completely immersed in the looks and the whole thing. And it was the time where it was the beginning of individualism, style, meshing, all that kind of stuff. So we took a trip to a dollar store, and we looked at what was around. In the same time, I was just too distressed. I wanted to just go and go for a movie. And then this is what I wrote. This is the story. I called it A Fine Line. While the concept was not fully there. A cool, rainy Saturday afternoon, last week, I decided to take a stroll and hit a movie theater. This, I'm writing it a week after having been in the theater and wanting to be in the theater while getting the concept for the parody of fashion. We called it parody of fashion because the shows were happening. We were going to make it funny, and we were going to create all the stuff from a dollar store. So while creating this is what happened to me. The film I intended to watch was sold out, so I ended up spending time browsing through magazines and articles at Indigo to expand on my research for the parody of fashion. Able to secure a seat at a table at Indigo, I heard some noises and commotions behind me. An abrupt walk, pulling of chairs, loud, followed by erratic steps and vocal, slow-motion speech like sounds. Not normal, but loud. I turned around only to notice, to my surprise, a group of mature, mentally handicapped people led by a lady who was so patiently and nonchalantly keeping each one of them in a calm order, as though all of this was normal. She was amazing. Some were holding onto magazines, others just staring in the void, repeating some inaudible words, others just sitting in the mass, as if numbed in over excessive and perhaps protective weight. The girl stretching and incessantly, repetitively folding over and over a navy sweater into a ball. The woman also swaying from side to side in her stagnant mobility, an oversized sweatshirt, flipping the pages of a publication, barely seeing through the slit of her puffed eyes. The magazine was upside down. Politeness obliged, I kept to myself, even though the observer in me was itching to just watch this odd scenery. I too was flipping through magazines, carefully selected though, high, intentional, glossy, avant-garde fashion publications, too expensive to buy, a tactile and visual delight, well of inspiration. Dissecting images, the models, the fashion, styling, poses and props, colors and design elements, concepts and content, very carefully looking at every detail, letting myself be immersed in the process of creating and expressing those editorials, all seemed to emerge. And everything was merging. What I was seeing outside and the magazine became one. Fashion's expression was similar to what was happening behind me and around me. Weird, senseless, extreme, unconventional, erratic, crazy, yet pulled together in extremely innovative layouts. As I was looking at them, the images were reflecting their image. "Look, I found it," shouted a man with plaid cropped pants that were pulled up to the diaphragm to here on top of a vibrant green sweater. He pulled his burgundy cap to show a yellow sticky note on which was scribbled a few words. "I found it." And then he put it on top of his cap. "I found it," he excitedly pronounced, crouching next to the lady in charge. "I found it. Come, let me show you. Come. Yes, said the lady. She got off the floor where she was sitting with all the rest and announced, "We will be leaving in 5 minutes. Please get ready." She was wearing a colorful silk Hermes scarf, and her warm, wheat-like wavy hair was in a soft ponytail. All of this was intriguingly interesting. Properly cropped, it might as well have been in the pages I was studying or vice versa. Seamless. This was my idea. An homage to the fashion that comes from the street and to where we are going in our visual presentation. Eccentric, random, offbeat, odd, and beautiful. Life in all its electric colors. So I wrote this, and this became the source on which we built parody of fashion, based on the fashion as well as the runway, and we made it on a dime. The idea was going to the dollar store and recreating all the looks we saw, merging it with the idea from dollar store elements. So big shoulders, white, sheer, flowy, baby doll, origami, clashing colors, turquoise and square 60s silhouettes, words and logos on dresses, oversized sweaters, metallic, mixed with plaid, lame, punk, athletic, words and typography on shirts, shoulder pads, blings, shiny, polka dots, scarves tied on heads, big bags, prints and raincoats, pop art, all of it based on designers. So I made my list, and this was my inspiration. Dollarama, the street, the wackiness, bringing individuality out, and then the mixes, colorful mixes of what I saw on the runway, which was meant to be for summer 2017. Based on this inspiration, my beautiful team and myself, we were the four of us, I'll show you the pictures. The team and myself, we went on a search. Maurizio, my friend, who is the interior designer and who was the stylist of the shoot, himself and myself were creating, sewing it, putting the whole thing together. We did a whole 2 weeks going to all the dollar stores, finding elements, and then based on the cuts and the fashion, we recreated the looks. This is us in the studio creating the looks. The team was Maya, Anna, Maurizio, and myself. It was a fun project. You could see us. I wanted to choose models that were not typical models, and this was new at that time. People were still in their glamour. This was new, odd, weird faces, We went from agency to agency until we found these two beautiful angels. As you see, we were styling it on ourselves and then fitting it on the models. So this was the execution, without, of course, forgetting the idea of the lighting and the idea of what we wanted to do. So ideally, I wanted the whole thing to be based on white. I wanted it more of a white backdrop, and I wanted acidic colors to come in. We created the backdrop. We found boards as we were, emptying my storage room, and we found some boards, and then we bought the everything from dollar store. Then we bought these cardboards, colored cardboards and plastics, and we created shapes in the background so that we have few levels and the light would go through them, and then they would make the backdrop of our models. These are unedited pictures. So as you can see, this is the styling. This is how we interpreted the fashion. The mesh was a basketball bag, placemats made into ruffles, swimming little, those strips. We cut them and we made them into belts. Gardening elements, the thing where you put around the plants became part of the color and the structure. Reflective materials that keep for heat became a garment. The reverse became the collar. So these were how we created the whole thing, and the story was done. Yes, so you could see a lunch bag, a cleaning cloth, numbers put on placemat and made into a top, plastic wrapped made into a skirt, transparent skirt, mimicking the transparency and the metallic and the shine, the plasticky shine in the fashion designs. The rubber twisties made into a bracelet. The cap and with a band on it, so we put the green on top with a masking tape. The background, masking tape, colored masking tapes and boards. What else can I say? Oh yeah, the goggles, everything. There's not one thing in this shoot that is not from a dollar store. On the blue girl, you could see it's like a mop, and then we put a band, we created it. The skirt is made out of placemats again. The underwear was from a dollar store. The bag was from a dollar store, and then I cut the label, the dollar label, and I put it on the bag. And of course, my reference. The color you see on the left is the reference of coloration of the skin I was after. What you're seeing here are the raw images, as captured. And then, of course, they had to load to Photoshop. But basically, I like to create the look based on the idea, based on how I want to see it. That's why during the shoot and editing, I have my reference points. The research was intensive. All that we're seeing in the fashion research was on my looks. So here. So you're seeing my reference on the left. You're seeing all the outfits made. You're seeing the background with how it was made. And then the lighting. Let me talk to you about the lighting. The lighting was wide light going from both sides, back both sides, so that it hits the angle of my boards, and then a mola, a beauty dish on the model. But it was lower than the backlight, but I didn't want anything to be overexposed. This is direct from the camera. This is what you're seeing. This is not retouched. These are from my captures once the whole thing was done and edited, I submitted the magazine in a strip like this with the title. There were 12 images. We called it Parody of Fashion with all the credits. And in the credits, the way I was showing the credits was, if you see it, if you can read it, it's very tight. You say, a cape, a jacket, as seen in Chanel, Balenciaga bag, Balenciaga this, Comme des Garçons top, as seen in the fashion. So there was a reference to each element to a designer. Miu Miu flip-flops were shown in the show with metallic and mirror-like ornaments, and then you would see it. So let me show you the editorial. 3 magazines accepted it. We went with Grey magazine, and then Huff magazine saw it a few months later after it was published and wanted it as well. So here I'm going to show you the layout coming from Huff magazine. Parody of Fashion. Our credits are there, and we called it exaggerated lines, metallic, shiny, graphic prints, and new generation trenches and bright candy pink and sunshine yellow. Recreating spring summer 17 trends on a $1 store budget. It was a hit. This is the layout. There's the reference to each one of the designers. Where did it land? A few months later, we got a call. We got a call from Health saying that every few years we create a coffee table book, and we would like your story to be featured as the best creative editorials of the year. And a bio, a quick synopsis of how it was made, and with no credits, no layouts disturbing it, the editorial being picked as #1 creative editorial of the year. The reason why I'm sharing this is ideas are personal. Ideas come from everywhere. Mine came from seeing some props laying around. It came from a conversation with my beautiful creative friend. It came from his willingness to go, I'll do the styling with you. Let's go for it. Then as I'm in that thinking and exploring and researching the fashion so that we recreate it before even going to the shops, I took day off, wanted to go to a movie, and then around me was the best fashion show ever. Full of love, care. And each one of these people we call crazy, but not, because who is the crazy, really? Were my inspiration to recreate and merge the two, life and fashion, together on a $1 store budget. It became a hit. It became the book. This is the story of the making of it. And now, if you have any questions and answers, I am here to answer so that you get to create something that is your own.
You mentioned that you work with your best
Can
friend.
you raise your voice?
Yeah, that your best friend. Do you always work with professionals, or you don't care working with people that are just starting?
Oh, great idea. Great question.
You as a pro fashion photographer.
I like taking risks, as you know. I like taking risks. So I worked with you when you were my student before being professional. It's just about feeling that there's something there. But I have to know that I'm not wasting my time. And I like to credit the people who instigate or brings an idea into a realization. What is being a professional? Being a professional is what you say you can deliver. That's being professional. So you don't have to have the title of professional for me to work with professionals, because for me, professional is what you say you can accomplish. I have complete confidence in my ability, technical ability, and bringing the whole thing together. That's the idea of the captain of the ship. And I'm going to show you in that workshop how to become the captain of your ship. So having the confidence that wherever the ideas and whoever you're working with, you embrace them, you bring them, you train them, and you brief them enough that the whole thing becomes one flow. So to answer your question, I like working with professionals who have professional attitude, and when they say something, they are responsible for it. The technical part, I have to make sure that they have a knowledge, because if somebody's sitting at the computer, I have to make sure that they have it. But I like to train, and I have big confidence that if it is the right person, it will create beautiful results.
Beautiful. Another question. You mentioned that you always include life and fashion together. Has it always been like this, or did it take you somewhere or somehow that shifted your mindset on how you create your fashion editorials and fashion projects?
Wow. Wow, Maria, these are great questions. Okay, yes. Let me go back. I'm not a good worker. For me, work and life are one. So I work with passion. I work hard. I push myself hard. I like to learn. But then work is part of my life. So life being part of my work is natural then for life to be the feeding, the big why of the images and the stories that come to life through me. So there are events, there are maybe philosophical thoughts, which I'm ruminating on, and then I see the outside and I start comparing. So all this is food. And because I'm more visual, sometimes I write as I wrote this essay, and then it brings back, it fortifies the visual. But life and my work have never been separate. It's ideas, it's thoughts, it's dreams, not only of the now, it's also contemplation, being in the now and imagining what's possible. Together, they create. And because it's in fashion, having the feet on the floor grounded in what the world is talking about and what the fashion is saying and where it's headed. It's all one. Life is part of what I create. Yeah, for sure.
This is more a personal question now. I feel like I know fashion, but I'm not the know-it-all of fashion.
Right.
When you were starting, did you feel like a lack of confidence because you didn't know the fashion, or did you know the fashion from the beginning for it to become what it is now?
I started in fashion before being a photographer. That was my journey. I was, when I was in Paris, I was writing articles. I was studying literature, and I was writing fashion articles as a hobby, and it became published. So fashion was always my passion. From the literary, then design, I moved into photography. And in this industry, I work as I said, like, I would write articles, but then when I moved to Canada, my English was not my first language. Then I moved into styling, and I was immersed in the fashion world. And then my photography brought all these elements together. But if I had to do it, if I was not about fashion first, because I know most of you guys are like, you love fashion, but you're not really living it and immersed in it. It's not a natural fit, perhaps. You can get educated. But the biggest thing I tell you, fashion is not what you see in the stores. That is 2 years fashion, past. It's past fashion. Fashion is, where are we trending? It's about sociology. It's about economy. It's about the mood of our society. It's about nature. It's about the collective. Fashion is the imprint of what we are living and what we are going to be seeing. So fashion designers are visionaries, and they're very tapped in and turned on to the vibration of collective consciousness. So it takes practice, and you don't have to be the know-all of fashion, but you have to know where it's headed. Follow the fashion shows, which are the couture, because that's more conceptual, not just because you like or you don't know, oh, I like this, I don't like this. Look at the whole gamut and see where's the direction. What is it? Not only based on the clothes, but is it deconstructed? Big shoulders, why? Showing too much skin, not enough skin. Why? What's the common denominator of what's going to come up, what we're going to see? And then look at magazines that are not trendy, or I would say magazines that are less commercial. Read the in-between lines and surround yourself with people, not the loud just because they love fashion, but who understand, who write about it. Once you know this, then you will know who to choose to be your stylist, because a stylist is going to be your biggest asset. But it is up to you to direct it, because it's your vision at the end. I remember a long time ago, and this I'm going to expand in the Captain of the Ship workshop, where I was still very new. I was only working on creatives and testings. And I showed my work to a creative director. And he saw something that didn't make sense. And I said, yeah, but the stylist was what we really wanted. He goes, as a photographer, there's no stylist, there's nothing. It's all about you. You did not say no to it. Big one. So you have to have the vision, and you have to know, because it's in fashion, you have to know how to express it in a fashionable way. The old is gone. What's coming?
I always have trouble on studio shoots of making things more natural, but I know that your way of shooting is not exactly like natural but in the background I really like although it's like it looks like a lot of places overexposed, but then it's purposely overexposed, and then keeping some important details that makes it look very light. Yeah. Which is what I like about it.
Yes, my style is whimsical. It's not based on the reality, but it's based on the dream and potential possibility. I like to elevate. You are present in the moment, and you see it, and you see correlations. It's beautiful. So it's knowing where your style is coming from. Yeah. And your vision, so that you don't get delusioned and distracted with other things. That's a big one. Kingsley. And I give you big credit for you really honing your style. Yeah. But it's very important that what you're seeing in your head, imagining in your head, you're coming very close to it in your shoot.
Yeah.
because then you're connected to your heart. It's not the eye that's seeing, it's all of you that's seeing, and you're not thinking logically. It's you're in the moment. So because when we think too logical, then we start going, this is right, this is wrong, this is this, and we lose. Yeah.
You start thinking, oh, maybe I should underexpose a lot in this photo, and I just bring it back later on, and then put a lot of things. Like this is always not kind of the way I do.
Yes, yes. But if you have it already, like, see, you sometimes you know that you're going to do a technique. Let's say.
Technique. Yeah, sometimes I need the sky or something.
Yeah.
And that person has to darken down, for sure. But like, depends on situation. But most situation will be going to, if I want this person has to be brighter. The only problem I still have nowadays is the posing. Like posing the model is.
You bring the models into they fall on your lap, like in your lap, like they
naturally,
and then you're going to mold them, but that there's a craft to it, and it's all psychological, and it takes confidence as well. Not confidence to be on top of them, but the confidence that you're going to be leading it from nothing towards that vision where because at the end the model is taking everything, and it's through her that everything's going to be seen. So if you don't know how to position her, or if there's that kind of awkwardness, your image is never truly a success. Especially you want it more natural, so it's just not going to feel that way. You're going to be capturing her in awkward moments, but it's not always going to work. And that's a technique. I will show you in the workshop. I will that's like you hit it, because that's you have to see it done, right? Yeah. So
hands-on.
There's a song and dance that happens, and that's why your team is very important as well. It is. I invite you to it. Like, you're going to love it, Kingsley. because we will be working like exactly what you're saying, but in action. And then I'm going to watch you, and I'm going to see, okay, so there was a moment that was missed, and then you're going to see me do it, and then you're going to do it, and then you're going to take over, then you're going to play, and then all of a sudden you're going to see, it's not as hard. I'm thinking too much. I can do it this way. Who can I be to, that's the idea. Who can I be to inspire my muse? Because she's my muse. And it's now we're reflecting each other. It's like me against her and her against, so you become one. She is inspiring you, and then you, who would you be to reflect that back onto her, so that without even words, she is now falling into that pose.
Felt like putting up a show.
Yes, it is. It's an orchestra. It's an orchestra, as I say it. There's so many elements. And then the captain of the ship, that is to bring all the elements in its right place, and for you as a photographer to be the captain of the ship. So what is it that you need so that your ship is going to reach its destination without you losing without your ideas being diluted? Because a lot of times, a lot of people will walk into it too. So what would you do? Because if a stylist is moving this all the time, this is like, okay, the model, you lost that model. You're gone.
What happens when you only have, like, let's say, a model, a photographer, and then assistant, like only 3 people, like the photographer has to be a lot of roles then, like less.
I'm going to turn your question around. These are such good questions, and the model needs someone or a team that is looking, who is giving her, filling her with confidence. So you, as a photographer, you're looking at her through your lens and this, and you're directing, but she needs a cushion, making so that she lets go.
This is hard.
Yes, and it takes practice. It takes practice, and it becomes like it's like swimming. It's literally like swimming. You know, when you think and you're breathing, your hands, your feet, nothing works. But you just, when you go with the flow and everything is synchronized, then the parts become one, right? And that's where it is.
Does it takes a lot of planning? But
you and your team have to plan everything.
Yeah.
And then you have to have images. That's why in the captain of the ship, we're going to do one day where you create your mood board. And the mood board is so important because you're going to inspire her with images that inspire you for that story.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
by having these images, you're going to feed her and enrich her so that when she gets stuck, she's got stuff to go by. Like she looks at you, oh yeah, it's inspired me. Yeah, I feel the mood now. And it could be random stuff, but they're making sense. So
Yes.
that planning is important. And elements to it, but at the end, it's like swimming, like it's the orchestra where you don't hear only the violin or only this, it's all coming together. But then the mood, the spirit of it is alive. There's something instinctive that you have, but you need to work it and you have to see others work it in a different way so that it becomes natural. And
Yes.
because you know what? Forming bad habits is the worst thing you can do. If you haven't seen, we don't know what we don't know. You know my story, right? When I saw the nuclear shoot, all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, it gave me confidence. I know, oh, they're doing the same way as I'm doing, then I'm doing good. Oh my God, I got confidence. And then my voice became louder.
Mhm.
And I wasn't like, oh yeah, like this, but maybe it's like, maybe, no, it cleaned it up. It cleaned it up. And I went full force after that, after seeing that shoot. It's major. And that's what I'm offering here. That's what I'm offering. And I want whoever wants to become a fashion photographer, like to build their style with confidence. And I've done it for over 30 years. It's time maybe for me to share my secrets. Why are we so closed off in this industry? I'll show you the way. We build a nicer fashion industry. We bring spirit into it. We make it recognizable, and so that you thrive. You don't have to waste years and years and years until you say, oh, this is not working. I'm not making my money.
Yeah.
Because once you've got
Yeah.
your style, you've got your clients. And then once you start repeating it, that's when you make yourself like a well-known, fashion photographer. That's what it is. And then you don't have to stick with fashion because now everything is merged. But then fashion is the place where it's the most difficult place where we can learn and say, I've got it. I'm on something. I'm on something. And that's why, I really want to offer this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's big. It's big. And it's not in schools. You won't see it in academies. You won't see it in anything because it has to be one-on-one. It has to be. It's bigger than that.
Yeah.
It's not something you learn in books or in videos or in YouTube. So I want to say have a beautiful afternoon and connect with us. Let's build this community, and it's my promise to deliver everything I promised to you.